Hello YouTube, Infinite Magicraid community, Gandalf here. We're going to spend a bit of time talking about how the PvP meta has been evolving with the introduction of Penny and the greater shift towards more of a control-based meta. The control-based meta is relatively cheap to build, and many of the heroes that are core to this are widely available, such as like Nizil and Santa, especially some of the free-to-play who've been playing for a really long time, where the control meta kind of has fallen out of favor. With the introduction of Penny, things have really gotten a little bit more different. So in today's video, I'll go over some of the changes in PvP meta, as well as how you should be thinking about your 3 teams, as well as your 5 teams in general. Overall, what I'll say still remains true is many players still tend to have the preference of leaving a really strong team in defense, as you can see here, where a lot of the limited heroes are all stacked together, making the strongest team here. Now, when you do something like this, what often ends up happening is you leave yourself wide open on the other 2 teams. I was a little bit greedy, and when I ran Guild Arena this week, I decided to run with a composition that looked like this. All right, and what you can see is I kind of have spread things out a little bit, and those wasn't exactly optimal. I was messing around with sort of like the optimal control, like taking full advantage of Penny and Giselle, and running full team here. But however, that didn't actually work out to be as too favorable, because I ended up leaving my core team a little bit too weak over here. The middle team still performed really well as usual, and today we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about how do you balance these 2 teams? How can you potentially free up that error toll? There are teams that people run in the middle, for example, with Freud and Will. So there's a few different tech options. People run Willa in here as a control option instead of Airtoll. Some people do Blaze along with Freud. That's another option. Well, we'll go over all of these in the video later. But what you can see is even against a relatively strong guild, not the strongest. Like if I was up against Bushido or Mystic Bull, I might have had a couple extra losses. But what you can see is what's in common is when I spread my teams thin, I struggle against this team. The one in the middle here, where people kind of stacked all of their limited heroes together, where Airtoll, Muro, and Giselle are on the same team. Again, same situation here. And again, repeated over here. Like there's an overwhelming number of players. When they have these limited heroes, they tend to stick them all together, guarantee at least one defensive wing. Like for example here, again, had a rough time against this particular team. So today we're gonna, mess around a little bit in Advanced Arena, talk about the meta, and talk about, the different options. I'll spend maybe a couple more teams talking about the various variations of the team, and there are really plenty of heroes now that you can kind of run the standard. Here's my tanky second turn team. I want to have a burst team, speed cleave, then I have a control team, like the standard one of each. However, there is enough heroes to really run like a second lineup. So here you can see, here's another example of sort of running like a double cleave option, where I'm using here you can use Moricus to cleave as well. This in theory will also work against this particular team, where you can easily knock out their speed cleave team when you are running a little bit faster. I think the benefit, especially if you're a slightly stronger player, is always still try to keep a main core team, because without a main core team, it's really hard to beat like the Airtoll, Giselle, Muron combo right now, without having kind of a direct mirror for itself. Like I know people have shown kind of like the Penny variation, but then you kind of do need like a 5-star meta array where you're really pushing back turn meter a lot. I haven't gotten Elise yet, so that's the brand new hero. Like you could technically try like Elise to make that work. So what that team looks like is looks something like this, right? I've seen people try this. If you take Panda out, you can actually put Elise in this spot, so that's a new hero. What you put over here, often what you end up doing is you'll put for example, a Beatrix over here. You'll run Beatrix, this, and what people like to do, for example, is put Popper here, right? Popper is a great way to get turn meter reduction, and then what you can do is put try putting Elise here, and maybe that will work because you get enough reduction onto the enemy where you can actually survive. The other option I kind of have also seen is, you know, instead of Popper, maybe even putting Panda back, then it might be sufficient. Like the problem without Panda today is that against Giselle, you will just straight out lose. Maybe it's better if I show you guys here. That's the general problem. Like for example, this is a team that I was trying against myself, right? It will work really well for a few turns until eventually what you'll notice is I simply just have too many dots on myself. And this is already like factoring a lot of turn damage reduction. But instead of Willa, if we did use Elise, I feel like we will be able to have an easier time surviving this because the mastery damage reduction will help enough to help me survive. But you can see the enemy is barely taking any turn. Like I'm doing so much turn meter reduction, right? And you can imagine if I had like a Magicraid pet, this would have been a huge difference. And of course, on top of that, the Magicraid pet does a lot of damage as well. So pretty much at some point, right, it's like when the poison all starts kicking in, that's when I lose. So that's the general problem with this control team is, and that's why I say, you know, for those of you who are lucky enough to get Elise, I might, you know, there's still another 9 days and I might be able to, you know, save up enough to try to go for, take another attempt at trying to get her. And then we can do a showcase around that. Now back to the teams, right? Over here, you know, I talked about a few different variations of this team that we see today in the meta. Again, the core team is still usually built around, you know, maybe these three. Popper, Bunny, Jingle Bell, still a very powerful combo. And what I've seen people do now is like, you know, there's one way of freeing this up, which is using Freud and Willa. Freud provides the survivability, so you don't actually get Airto proc right away. What's nice about this is you can get crit damage up, and then you can also get the speed up. The extra damage coming from Blaze will help finish the main targets, and then, you know, just cycle the turn all over again. So, and there's a little bit of a stun coming from Blaze as well, from a nice AoE. So this actually does quite a bit of damage, and it will take out most teams that are not super tanky. Like obviously it won't take this out, but for the most part, like it works really well. Other variations I've seen this is like where people either run with Freud, right? You run something like this, or you run with Lydia, and then what you do is you put in a Willa. And the main reason for Willa is it actually helps win a lot of counter scenarios, where if they're taking a double turn, you easily 4CC them with Willa, and you get, you know, the free shot with Jingle Bell first. So I think the middle cleave team, like as much as you understand the variation and understand, you know, what's favorable against what, that usually works fine. And usually it's nice to pair your Bambi pet with this one, just simply prevent yourself from, you know, getting your combo interrupted or one of the pieces end up dying. Now let's talk about how do we actually kind of balance the remaining of your team. And like I mentioned, my preference actually, you know, after a lot of testing is still, if you can, keep your core team together. Now, because Airto is not over there, you kind of have two options. One, you can run it like this. The other one is where you put Beatrix up here instead of Panda. And what you still do is you kind of can have the ability to run, you know, a more CC based team down here. So something along the lines of this, right? Sorry. Let me put that up there, and this will still work. Like instead of Beatrix, like Beatrix I've shown the other team, and you can put the Panda back in there. Because I still feel like the cleanse, Beatrix still is stronger. I think it's still the stronger variation, because simply Giselle and, you know, Lance, you can get, Lance does so much turn meter reduction, by the way. If you haven't used Lance before, it is absurd the amount of extra turns you end up taking, and this will give you the chance of really getting in between the enemy turns to land that killing blow, even if you don't have Airto. So we'll see that shortly. And finally, control team with introduction Penny, first turn CC from Nizelle actually is really, really strong. It works so well on so many of the teams. You can actually see that in Championship. We'll go over to Championship near the end of the video after we do a little bit of Advanced Arena, and then I'll talk about Championship as well. So like for the last team, there's so many different variations, right? What's core to it is, of course, Penny. And what you do is, from a control perspective, Penny provides speed up as well. So you really want to bring a hero that has speed down. Beatrix fit really well in this category. Santa also does a really good job as well. When you run Santa, you might as well run Nizil and trying to land for that permafreeze. But you also need a way to effectively kill the enemy. I'm trying out Xiaoring a little bit, simply because Xiaoring has the benefit of quickly ramping up her damage, personal damage, quite a bit. And furthermore, she does have immunity to CC. So there's a way for you to potentially counterplay from this, right? Nizil is also immune to freezes as well. So you could essentially use Nizil. I think Nizil's Giant Shield, let me just check. Giant Ice Shield, right? So activate at exclusive 1. Immune to death, takes fatal damage, recovery. Giant Ice Shield is immune to all control effect, right? So Nizil, that means Nizil can still CC back, right? Xiaoying, you can't CC. So both, and then because you start with, and you also have Penny, right? Penny, I'm gonna because I'm using all 5 heroes. Penny is also gonna start right away with 10 stacks, which means she is going to have, when she gets resonance, she cannot, pretty sure in resonance state she can't be CC'd, right? So I think that's an exclusive. Yeah, cleanse all debuff of self, makes the next time uncleansable, and makes cleanse all defense, all debuffs from self. Does it make her during the resonance? Yeah, during her resonance, now exclusive 3, she's immune to freeze, time, prison. So that's really, really good, right? So 3 heroes on this team actually is immune to CC, which means in a mirror situation, I have a better chance of winning as well. So I really like this particular setup and take advantage of Xiaoring. I messed around with different variations. There isn't, I wouldn't say one has emerged as, here's the de facto best one, because everyone's messing around with this one. And with introduction Penny, it really makes control team a lot more viable and fun. Like another variation I've seen, for example, like I was trying in the last championship, like instead of this, like for example, if I try, I can definitely try something like this, where I go, 4 poison heroes. Poison, where's poison? There's a lot of synergy with this one as well, right? I run, Immercando also has a control, and Willa. So now Willa takes advantage of having 4 allies that are poison based, and you can get, defense down as critical damage down, all of the buffs, and you have silence coming in from Immercandos and turn meter pushback. So this is a very, very solid lineup as well. So like we can do a little bit of showcasing around this one as well. Why don't I just save this as well, and we can showcase that. Like I think I feel like this is a really good one. I just need to I don't have like a really good set on Mercano right now. I guess this will have to do. Right, 1, 2. Immercando does a lot of AoE damage, by the way, too. So 1, 2. Beatrix will open with 1, 2. I think we'll do this, but we'll start with 1, 2. And we'll open with this, and then we'll do 1, 2. Just so we get a little more damage, because it is a race after all. So here's another variation. Like if you have all of these poison hero, you might want to give this a try, and you get a little bit of healing coming in from Willa as well if you have the Echo. So let's give it a go, right? I think we did enough talking. You're here to see action as well. So as we look into the first team, right, having Murong, Giselle, and Wukong on the same team just provides so much survivability. Like this is going to be a little bit of a drawn out fight. But having Lancing here instead of Erato, what you see is I have a huge advantage in terms of having attack up, resolute, and Lance just pushing the turn meter back. I'm able to get a lot of extra turns than my enemy. This allows me to like I was able to quickly take one out, right? And this is actually one of the teams I was running in the championship. And this allows me to also sort of be counterplay to the CC meta, which is very much hoping to focus on, it does a really good job focusing on not getting the enemy to do a lot of turn meter because Lance is going to pursue, right? And it's also going to proc your airtoe. The big weakness of the control team right now you see here is, after you CC the enemy, your team is still relatively vulnerable. But you can see, this team works perfectly fine. We'll also show the other control team in the next few matchups. All right, so that's somewhere around the same level. We'll refresh. We'll leave all the lower ranked players alone. Let's try Rustic. Rustic actually, even though his power isn't there, his teams are very solid, right? So here we got, a very CC heavy turn meter pushing back team. On the second team, we got, so his team very much is sort of like, he's spreading his teams out quite a bit and makes this a little bit of a challenge for me as well. So here is where, without changing my team, the last team here probably is the closest thing I'll have, but I might, he doesn't have a penny, so I'm going to eat a CC in the face a little bit. I am immune, probably on Beatrix, because I have such high effective res, and I also have, Penny there getting my turn meter pushed up a little bit. So we'll see how the last team go. Giselle naturally is really good counter. So if you have another Giselle, to be able to interrupt this combo here and to be able to CC usually creates a headache for me. So I never want to run this team against any Giselles. That leaves the first team. The first team is also a very tanky one. If I get unlucky, that airtoe could proc at the wrong time. But let's see how it goes in general. Now this is where, airtoe got a proc, and that's what I hate about this particular lineup, right? Is sometimes because the enemy is a little bit weaker, I end up proccing their airtoe prematurely. And that's what I don't like. There's a little bit of unpredictability with that particular team. Now with the second team, you can see that, Pandas double CC there, I got interrupted, but Lance and the interruption there, you can see how effectively this team take care of business. So this is a great way of freeing up your airtoe for another team. Now on the last one, we'll slow down just a little bit so that you can see, the immunity right there. So I'm gonna get one resistance and one over here, right? So this allows me to have that important counterplay here. And this first CC cannot be cleansed. However, I'm going to be dealing with a lot of these electroshocks, right? And this is the part where, clearly, this team wouldn't work very well against. And you can see that, that was not a very good idea. So if I were to run into this in, so this is another good way of setting up your team. This is probably, the offset example of, understanding how some of these interaction work. And, Rustic here actually is an example of a very good team that you run into and you're like, okay, so this actually creates a little bit of problem. If you stack one team, your other two teams end up being a little bit weak. And you can see that's how I actually set up my defense as well. No, is it? No. This is it's very much similar to my other lineup, right? So the other way is if you were to rebalance these two teams, what I have done often is here. So I have my other setup, which is to balance between this and to balance out with a team like this. This is what I run some other times. And what I find the biggest issue with this setup, however, is that I tend to run into the situation of I end up not having strong enough a team. Now, believe it or not, when they don't have enough tanky hero, this team does so much damage that you should be able to break through one hero, get a cleanse off of airtoe, and make this work. So I'll just quickly show, what happens if you actually spread your heroes out. You spread out your heroes, and this is actually, you kind of have to deal with that. If you spread your team out, really 3 strong teams, if you stack all of your heroes into one team, it makes it really hard to win. If you want to go for the 3 wins, this is potentially what you have to do. All right, so we'll showcase this setup as well. So you can see on this first team, right? I'm running a Moricus for that extra speed to go early. The extra damage from Moricus and to be able to strip a little bit, all the turn meter reduction. It's a very powerful team. Most teams, unless they have, if they don't put a Giselle in there, even with a Giselle, sometimes they have a hard time dealing with it, right? And you can see this is where the counterplay happens, where having a Panda really helps. It kind of rounds out this CC heavy team with Penny in it. And it does help me survive against what this team is weak to, though, is actually weak against Erato team. And finally, for this last team, I should be able to do enough damage to get a quick proc out of it, or I'm gonna get myself CC'd so hard that it didn't work out the way I wanted to work out. So yeah, so this actually does. Okay, so this is, I guess, the benefit of having one of your teams being very defensive, evenly spread out, that it is actually a little bit hard. So in a guild arena situation, a team, a three-way team like this will work. However, the downside is none of these three teams will technically be able to beat the strongest team. So they will end up having to pick two. So both strategies work, right? Like if you spread your team thin like this, evenly across the board, it makes it really hard to, if you're running a stack team against three. Even if you're running a two team, you're still going to running into that situation. So let's go check out maybe a couple more teams before we head over to championship. I actually kind of want to do a rematch here against him, to see if one of my other pre-built teams might take care of business here a little bit better. I do have this alternative team though. Like no, I can't run that one. Let's keep this one as is. And I feel like maybe the reason is because I think all three of these teams actually is a very good counter to the ever so popular Beatrix team. And this is where the reason why it's like, if I run this against any of the team, this will actually end up losing. But this is like also my favorite team. So the way, if you can get all three teams to defend against one particular team, that I guess in a way works really well as a strategy as well, if you understand the meta. Let's go take a look at a couple other players we haven't. I don't think we have taken against Hexa. I think Hexa was also a content creator. So if you're interested to check out another one, there's Hexa for you. Let's go back to, let's just run this one more time. And then we'll go over to the other one. So here's one where they got both Giselle, right? And Erato on the same team. They don't have Muro over here though. So what we'll do is we'll give this a try, right? And I feel like, this is a situation where, if I remember properly, this is also where I kind of don't like this particular setup where, yeah, it does get awfully close. I have a bad feeling I might lose the one in the middle, right? Without switching team properly. This is also, when they end up stacking one team over more so than the other one, it's a little bit harder to deal with. The last one is very vulnerable to CC, right? Maybe just for the sake of winning, we'll go back to our normal setup here, which is to run something. We'll go back to our top setup here. And let's give this team a showcase a little bit, right? Because you probably haven't seen this one yet, where it's kind of a CC heavy with Xiaoring in it, right? And what I'll say is, if you notice, these four team actually makes a very good fives championship team. So we'll go there shortly in a bit, okay? So first team, I should have a really easy time. No real big threat. We will see a little bit of a Lance business up here, but immediately the snowballs drop, procs Erato, and things are over. Now this is where things get a little bit challenging, right? The question is, from without Muro on his team, what's going to go down first, right? Like, am I going to be able to stop his Giselle and do enough damage to him, right, before he ends up getting me. And I think the answer is I think I get him before he gets me, just because I have Murong and Wukong to help tank. So that's why I say like this team is really strong in freeing up Aeroto, but my other setup wouldn't be. So here's where we see the freeze in action, right? Like all his team is CC'd right away. Push the turn meter back with Ronai, and the entire team starts with 10% extra turn meter, actually 15 Ronai with that combined together. Now we CC. Now we see that Murong is slowed down, and from here onward there is no real threat, right? Yes, he gets a double turn. He pushes my turn meter back, but Xiaoring is about to go, and that's probably the wrong target to pick, and that really hurted me a lot. Murong, yeah, that is not looking good, but I got the turn meter pushback. Uh-oh, this is looking very bad, very bad. And perhaps, you know, I should have run with the other variation. So sometimes, you know, as long as they have one hero in there, like if you spread your team in a way where as long as one of them is kind of immune to CC, it does make things a little bit better. Like almost feel like, you know, Willa Murong on this is another, you know, trap that prevents it. Like almost feel like if I look at what's my greatest weakness in my team, it's actually my favorite team. And I'm just not quite ready to yet part with it yet. We'll show quickly here maybe an interaction maybe on the last one in terms of how this interaction will play out when you got a mirror and you have a penny when the enemy doesn't have a penny. The first two will be very quick, and then we'll go find maybe one more before we go over to championship. I think the downside of Xiaoring was that there's a little bit unpredictableness in terms of who Xiaoring goes after, and maybe that's why maybe the poison setup could be the better variation. All right, we are almost done, and you can see here, right? Like most of my team was immune to CC. I was able to go back and, you know, being able to CC the enemy completely is just so broken. So that's why if you have Penny, you know, the Santa Nazil combo could provide you a lot of great opportunity. And having heroes that are immune to CC like Xiaoring gives you a huge opportunity to make that a counterplay opportunity against other control-based team. Now, what I forgot about though is because everybody here does dot damage for the most part, we're just gonna have to take a little bit extra time in terms of taking out that Nita there. But oh my gosh. So yeah, having a lot of turn meter built into here, plus having that pet. Imagine it was like a E5 pet, that would be really strong there. Okay. Let's go take out maybe Bugista on the last one, and we'll see how things go. We will actually pick our poison setup, which is the last variation here. Now it does use a Beatrix in here, I recognize that, which means we have to switch up our other team a little bit differently. But nonetheless, I think this gives us a really good option. And what I just realized, what this actually creates here is like I want to show this team, but it also creates a weakness though. Like it creates the weakness of this team actually isn't very favorable against, you know, his control team. So I think, you know, let's go back to our control-based team. Let's see if it does really well against him. We're gonna have to, you know, do that mirror up, and this is where again you got Beatrix, Aeroto, we got our CC team. I feel like this eventually is going to fall out of flavor, or we're going to have to find some variation, because now that the counter play is really strong and the control meta being really strong, like the tank meta, like there's very few tank teams that are, you know, very immune, that aren't immune to cleave teams now. Like, so this brings, you know, have to rethink about how we run the Jingle Bell team. We do have to kind of switch it up or bring in a tech option like a hero to really change things up a little bit. And it's sort of like teams like this, right, that are still somewhat vulnerable to cleave teams. And here you can see the benefit of me, having, he has 3 heroes that can't be CC'd. I got, wait, how did that happen? I guess, yeah, Bunny can't be CC'd, so I got the first hit off. Right, remember a key detail here, right? As long as Jingle Bell is CC'd, they can't actually get snowballs to drop. So making sure that, that they don't get un-CC'd is really important. Uh-oh, that's the Jingle Bell going at it. Okay, I gotta really rethink my control variation here. And maybe, turning Jingle Bell into a control variation isn't a bad idea. You can see that, things didn't play out for me as well as I planned. Today was more of a fun time doing it on stream and trying out 3 different teams. Maybe we'll go back here one last time and let's see if we can actually 3-0 this team with a little bit of a change in our thought strategy. Let's get rid of. Let's try things a little bit differently here. One thing, for example, here is to show, how maybe, we could actually run a team like this, right? Run a team like this. Take that out. We will put, let's run the Giselle variation here. Let's see what we can do. Like with the Giselle, where's the panda? We have the, hold on. Okay, we have the Giselle variation, right? And we'll run for the classic. We'll go for the classic air-toe lance combo. So here we will run, this new team, which is very well generic and CC heavy. This kind of works relatively well. Let's try to build a couple of teams around that and show, what will potentially happen to our air-toe team. Sorry, our how do we make our Jingle Bell team actually still work? Okay. Starting to think like if the Jingle Bell team actually, given that we have so much if we actually put the panda in here, I wonder if that deals with our general problem, because everybody is now putting a control heavy team of some sort, right? So, and those control teams aren't that hard to break through. So what if we instead, teched our option with a panda? Okay, and we tank it up with a panda, right? And over here, let's say we just round this out. We got Beatrix, we got this. What if we round it out with this is like the perfect spot for Elise. Like I don't have an Elise. If I had an Elise here, I'll be super happy. But in absence of Elise, right? What if we tried Donald, right? Donald is a great hero that helps us, lock down the key enemy on the team. Works really well. We can actually instead maybe you can in theory run showering over here too. I actually thought about potentially, because Donald preventing one of their, key heroes. I feel like that's too targeting. I don't know. Heck, we'll just show Donald because we haven't used Donald in a while. For our very first team, right, we got Lance. Let's do, let's put Big Jack in here to take care of Lance and to get that extra proc so that we go for the kill, right? I think this gives us a good combination for a lot of the key heroes, right? So if we try and look at things now, I do feel like this gives us a very good answer to things. I do feel like though a lot of the double turn creates a weakness, right? We will show how this team works really well against them though. I have a feeling like this should work really well. The first team we should be able to crack it down, and the last team is anti-CC, so I think we're going to be okay. Let's see if things work in our favor. I feel like I'm going out of my way to just beat someone who is that much lower in power, but I'll be honest, like his teams are very solid, right? And in a way, you could, in theory, run these teams. Maybe we'll give these teams just a little bit more try because I do feel like the Jingle Bell team with Airto, with all of these teams that we ran up against, that was kind of the weakness part. And maybe it is time to really, adopt to the meta a little bit. That was unexpected. I'm not sure how that happened exactly, though. I didn't pay attention. There was a little bit of counterattack there from Willa. We're going to have to go back and see what was that strange interaction that caused things to go a little bit weird here for me. Oh my gosh. See all those lance procs? Oh my god, Jingle Bell is still not taking a turn. Oh my god. Literally, I am just snowballing him to death. That was a really weird one. Okay, that was a really weird one. Let's go watch that replay. Okay, this one was like Jingle Bell just snowball, like snowball, all snowballs. Okay, let's see what happened very quickly at the beginning. Okay, very slowly. For whatever reason, okay, he ended up going first for some reason. And he was able to kill something. I wasn't expecting that from happening. Storm Blessing. Someone got poisoned right away and he hit me. Okay, was it because... Okay, so I guess Willa has this interaction with Giselle that allows the proc to happen immediately. I didn't know that. That's really cool. And I wonder, does that just mean, did we just discover a really good team here? So let's quickly, okay, we're gonna go bother Weak Beginning, who is going to absolutely obliterate me. But let's see if that team actually gives us some good ideas on what might, potentially work. And I'm going to cheat against him. and hopefully that works. Here, let's put Willa in here. Right? And let's see how that interaction plays out, because that immediate first turn is going to be very important for taking him out. And here you can see he's doing the Willa thing here too, right? People have kind of realized Willa with Giselle is actually a really good combo. Weak is also a really good player too. So let's study his team a little bit further and just see, what might be viable here if we really want to beat him. The first one is kind of easy. Oh, no, you can't. Wukong's in there. Wukong's there, so I can't even outspeed him, which is a pain in the butt. I don't have Decora. Like, this is a situation where if I had a Decora, instead of like I feel like if I had Decora in here, that might change things up a little bit. I also want to say that, if I didn't have Panda in here, if I had a... You know what? I think I have an idea. What if we ran Moricus and we ran Freud? Because what's really nice with this setup, right, is Moricus is going to give me some extra speed, and Freud is going to give me enough protection so that I don't get actually smacked to death by his Jingle Bell. Yeah, so I think that gives me a really good tech option against people who I can't outspeed, right? On his second team, we have the first CC shot, right? He doesn't have a penny. I'm going to be able to go first. I'm gonna be able to CC him so hard he doesn't even see it coming. Yeah, you guys think? I think we have a shot here, right? Because he doesn't have a Wukong on this team anymore, so he's not gonna be that tanky in my mind. And then for this final last team, there's no real threat other than Lance, and I should be able to tank through it. Okay, maybe with some luck, this could be the first time I actually beat him. Let's see how this goes. Okay, we're gonna watch this slowly. And maybe, you know, by doing this, I have discovered, you know, a working team for myself. So here's the first one. Yeah. Okay, Bunny goes. Oh, does that his arrow to proc? No, his arrow to didn't proc. Okay, we have a chance. And oh my god, he's so tanky. Okay, let's see if this extra hit helps. Come on, someone please die. Oh my god, he's still not dead. Come on, kill my other thing first. Kill my popper first. Kill my popper first. Kill my popper first. So yeah, so this guy beat Klee, all right? So it was a very close 12-13. Like, I know Klee's last team was a little bit questionable there, but I don't know what kind of stats I'm fighting against here. Like, I fought this guy, and his stats are insane. Oh my god. Come on, tell me, like, with Muron and, like, this, I should be able to go through it. Like, see, something happened. Like, that should go through. Tell me that go through. Go through. Come on. Come on. You can't survive this. Okay. So first team, in theory, it worked, right? You guys saw it worked. It's just a matter of stats. Like, he's so much tankier than me. Like, okay, let's see if this last team works. Now, what I'm expecting to happen here is, let's look at the interaction very slowly, right? So someone's going to get poisoned right away. It's whoever moves first, I think, Willa is going to be able to get a poke on them. Okay. Oh my god. Did he literally just one-shot my Giselle? Like, WTF there. Like, what? Like, how hard is this Willa hitting? What kind of stats is this? Wait, hold on. Look. His Willa has 10,000 attack? Advanced hit aura. 10,000 attack on this Willa. Okay, 10,000 attack. 150 mastery. No skill damage. Okay. But that is so much. Why did my Giselle get just, like, is it just random? Okay. Well, we'll cast a cycle, pursue, randomly attack enemy once. Oh my god. Yeah, randomly one shot my Giselle. That changes well, without a Giselle, I'm not going to be killing him. So, and oh my god. So I still can't beat this guy. Like, I can't win him. Like, not even win two of them. This is so disappointing. Like, doesn't make me want to do any more PvP videos when you have these monsters walking around a little bit. You know, stats, and I don't have that kind of stats. This is, you know, this is on a whole different level here. As I promised, you know, we'll take a moment to talk about championship a little bit. You know, for 2 days in a row, people bet against me, like, around, I think, yeah, roughly, like, it was like 90-10 yesterday against Coral, and then Casino also, you know, both were betting like 80 to me. Like, power isn't everything, guys. Like, you know, I am, you know, and over here, Coral Shark, you know, both situations, you know, I won it. Won it with like a 14-11, so it wasn't like a 12-1. And weak is quite strong. Where is weak? Yeah, so you saw weak beating Zhongli here. That was a incredible upside. He's quite something at building his teams. This team, performed really well, right? This perma CC team with MetaRay like works really well against pretty much all the different teams, with the exception of when they have a Panda, right? This is really dominating the control meta right now. And of course, Zhongli's last team, this feels kind of just last minute thrown together. I don't even think he bothered to build his team. But a win is still a win. Like with Zhongli, like his stats are so crazy that you can throw whatever together and it still works. Feel like that's kind of true for some of the the bigger whales. Like my stats are high, but they're still attainable, right? Like 60, like I go talk to Week and his stats are like, for whatever reason, all like 10% higher. Like I don't even know where he's getting all these extra rolls from. Like his belt, like I'm putting A and S blessings on this. Like this guy, I don't know what his gears look like. So anyways, we'll take maybe one last moment to talk about championship, what people are kind of running here. So maybe my first match, right? This is again, your typical average player on the high end. Like we're talking about top 64 players here, or the top 100 players in general, right? I was able to win pretty much most of it, but you can see this team is starting to fall a little bit. Again, you can see this is weak to Willa, it's weak to CC, that's expected, but it's really strong against pretty much any of the other setup that doesn't have a Giselle in it, right? The second team, I managed to win 2. Again, this is, being able to land a CC, hard CC first, right? This was the other team I was showing. But it's weak to a lot of other things. So if they have like a Panda, or if they simply just go first with Lance and just to be able to stop me, that works really well. What else? This is not good against teams that, I guess, let's see how the last team played out. I'm surprised how I lost the last team. I think it might be just on death damage was a lot. I have a feeling like I ran a similar team to this last championship where, you got on death damage coming in from these two, and boom, one, and then there's another one. That's going to hit me really hard. Yeah, and I just simply, I think because I thought I win this. Okay, wait. I thought I won this. Okay, never mind. This is the one I won. Which one did I lose to? Oh, I lost to this one. Yeah, so this last team, I think I beat all of them, right? Victory. Yeah, his last team is a little bit weak. It looked a little bit out of date, actually. What it did lose to, however, is I think team 3, was it just due to speed? Yeah, I think his lance just pushed me back. I didn't even get a chance to hit him, I don't think. Because his lance is immune to CC, right? So what ended up happening is, I end up going, both Big Jack and Lance are immune to CC. So he is going to be able to have his lance just, Big Jack into Lance. The lance is hitting so hard. Yeah, not surviving that. Take a look at the interaction of the fourth teams. This is where all CC heavy, and you can see, having there's a few key heroes, right, that are immune to CC that works really well, right? Lance spread out here, and you can see his team 4 actually did surprisingly well, right? Really breaking out the Jingle Bell combo, right? Like the Jingle Bell combo is kind of separated now, right? And you're not using Popper anymore. You're putting Willa in there. Let's see how well his second team did. Defeated one of my team, right? Like it stopped us. Like I really feel like this is like becoming like a liability for me. Now that the more we look at it. And finally, for the last one, I was running this team, and I'm shifting it up a little bit. Nordak is starting to fall out of flavor a little bit, unless you're using it on a tank team like this. But other than that, not that great. Against Coral Shark. So Coral Shark, this is Coral Shark versus Star QQ. But let's see, we'll look at some, the teams on the right a little bit. We'll do that against me, but let's see, Star QQ. Again, we're seeing a very similar team, right? The themes are the same, right? You got You got the Willa Giselle combination, right? Like we saw in Week's team. This is a powerful duo that you really should keep together, I've found. Especially if you build your Willa to really high attack. And I think this is telling me to rebuild my Willa. Like just seeing how hard that thing hit, like really caught me off guard. Especially here, right? Like what he did was, this is a really good team. Like to be able to put Freud in here too. Now, what I'm just surprised is, it didn't do very well against Coral Shark. I guess against some of these teams. One, this is getting CC down a little bit. Yeah, let's see what happened here. Like maybe it's just too tanky. The tanky CC version. The tanky CC version, it's a little bit weak too. It's really strong against, a soft squishy team, which makes me wonder, like, yeah, like these soft squishy teams that are glass cannon burst, like it's kind of really fallen out of flavor. His other team here is here's his exact same variation, but it just didn't measure up against his defeat, and the last one is defeat. So this last team is a little bit weak, so that's the main reason he lost. Okay, now against me versus Coral Shark, right? So here you can see my first team. He went up against me. His team actually went straight up, defeated all of my teams over here, right? All of them. This is where you put Xiaoring and Erto again is a very good combination. So if you have those two heroes, you can try to build a team around that. Mural, like I run this quite a bit on my combos. This helps you against pretty much any team that does an AoE front. So for example here, Beatrix would have triggered the Showering counter, and I would have then died to Erto. Here would have been triggered by Jingle Bell. This CC team is again getting destroyed. And last one, again, this is the weakest team. It didn't win. But this team is weak to a full stack team. On this second one, this is your really powerful Lance Beatrix combo. Now it falls short. This is where this is still the heaviest. So when you're versed against the same category, having Erto does give you the upper hand. It of course can't break through the tankiest team, but it is still strong against a lot of the other weak team. And remember, Lance and Big Jack really should go hand in hand. So if you're looking at your teams, you should really consider putting those two hand in hand. This is where I feel like sometimes I wonder, am I really doing the right thing here? I mean, in theory, yes, this could work. I wonder if I actually put Morikis in the first team, would that be okay? And I have a feeling it might not be okay, just because I really rely on Lance for that damage. But Lance, Morikis and like I ran variations of this, right? Like if I put Erto up there, I could put Lance down here. It will make this team really weak, but it makes the top team really strong. So that's the other. There's so many different ways to set up your team. I'll go into like some variations at the end. This is his control heavy team, and you can see his control heavy team here. Again, Willa Giselle. Like we're seeing the Willa Giselle pair so much, and this did really, really well. Again, destroyed. But then when you stack, so what you always say is, if you're running these three, right? These three makes a really good champion, your arena threes team. Like I feel like this makes a really good 3 team. But then what that means is also he left his remaining heroes to be quite weak, right? Here, yes, in theory this kind of worked, but he lost all of them against all my teams. Like Jingle Bell, Popper, Bunny on its own is just simply not enough anymore. Like it's weak to so many different things that it just doesn't compare. And then of course his last team feels a little bit of random stuff thrown together. This is the old school tanky meta. If we go back like 6 months to a year, this used to be considered as a really hard to break through team. But nowadays, a lot of things can just hit right through it. So of course, things just all fall to the various different teams relatively quickly here. So that's kind of how things played out in the last 2 teams. So yes, it's possible. Is it a good idea to stack your first 3 teams? Yeah, I think so, because if you stack your first 3 teams, you could potentially secure a lot of wins. The big question is, how do you want to build your team 4 and team 5? And often what you can do is, this is the opportunity where you study your opponents the previous day, and you can adjust and see, you know, what their weakest 2 teams are, and maybe just try to see if you can score like 1 or 2 points on the last 2 teams and make that close match. So Dutch Wolf, again, very strong player in Mystic Bowl. You know, power-wise, you know, again, ahead of me. You know, we'll see how things play out, and I hope you enjoyed my kind of meta review commentary, talked through a lot of the different teams today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Gandolf out.